Welcome to Thursday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect New Zealand. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz. And today we lead with news. Commodity markets are betting all in that a deal between the US and Iran will unlock the Strait of Hormuz soon. An Iranian state TV report has triggered the optimism, and that's even though the US has denied it. More ships are transiting, but it's still only a fraction of normal. However, it is enough to drive the price of crude oil lower. But despite all that, financial markets seem to remain unconvinced, or at least they've turned defensive due to what lies ahead of a resolution. How well any deal will stick between the two parties, who have become quite transactional, remains to be seen. Certainly the US is unlikely to be trusted to maintain the deal by both Iran and even its own traditional allies. Iran will be Iran, agreeing but preparing for another fight or attack. The one thing the US-Israeli thing has done is solidify the Iranian regime's position at home. It no longer has internal dissent or street challenges, and it will thank Trump for that. In the US, mortgage applications fell sharply last week as the US 30-year mortgage rates rose. Most of the fall is from the outsized retreat in refinance activity, although new purchase activity did dip as well. Those mortgage rates rose to their highest level since August 2025. Meanwhile, the ADP tracking of private payrolls showed the good levels continued last week, even if there was a small dip posted. And that is supported by the factory survey data out of the Richmond Fed for the Mid-Atlantic states area. New order levels rose notably, and firms expected growth in prices paid to moderate slightly over the next 12 months. But there was no improvement in the forward expectations despite these improvements. Meanwhile, the Dallas Fed Services Sector Survey remained quite negative, even if less so in May than April, but their uncertainty metric is notably less. There was a US Treasury 5-year note auction overnight, and that delivered a yield of 4.13%, up sharply from the 3.90% at the prior equivalent event a month ago. In Australia, consumer price inflation came in lower than most analysts were expecting for April. It rose 4.2% from a year ago, lower than the March 4.6% and lower than the expected 4.4%. From March, CPI prices rose 0.4%, also lower in the same way. The key reason is that fuel prices fell 7% from March to April, after rising 33% in the previous month. The fall this month includes the halving of the fuel excise on April the 1st. Fuel prices are still 23% higher than in February, and before the impact of the Middle East conflict. Apart from fuel, outside rises were recorded for housing and clothing. The main contributors to the high housing rise were electricity, new dwellings and rents. And staying in Australia, Westpac has been hit with a $26 million civil penalty for not dealing with clients who were struggling financially in a proper way. Remediation of all those costs to those clients was only $1.7 million. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now just on 4.48%, down 1 basis point from yesterday. And the price of gold will start today down another $49 at $4,450 an ounce. Silver's down $1.50 at just under $74.50 an ounce. And oil prices have fallen $4.50 to just on $89.50 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is now at $95 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is up 60 basis points from yesterday at this time at 58.9 US cents. Against the Aussie, we're up 110 basis points at 82.6 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're up 50 basis points at just on 50.7 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at just under 62.4, which is up 60 basis points from yesterday. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $74,765 and down 1.5% from yesterday. Volatility over the past 24 hours, though, has been modest at just on plus or minus 1%. Join us later today for full coverage of the 2026 budget release, an election budget, of course. You can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.